Every year, hundreds of bills come out of the Idaho legislature on topics that will impact all our daily lives. We'll keep you up to date on what's happening at the Idaho State House all during the legislative session. Search Idaho Matters wherever you get your podcasts.
It's The Connector for Wednesday, March 26th. Good morning. I'm Troy Oppie. Today, Idaho's governor will sign another tax cut bill. Parents in Idaho schools may have to opt their kids in if they want sexual education in Idaho classrooms. U.S. Senator Mike Crapo, the Idaho Republican, takes calls from concerned Idaho retirees. And why hair was flying everywhere at the Idaho State House Tuesday. It's The Connector from Boise State Public Radio News. It is a jam-packed morning on the pod. Thanks for listening. The recently appointed head of Idaho's State Department of Health and Welfare has been nominated for a position in the Trump administration's Department of Health and Human Services. Alex Adams, who was the state's budget chief prior to succeeding Dave Jepsen as head of state health and welfare last year, was nominated to be Assistant Secretary for the Administration of Children and Families in HHS, working under Robert Kennedy Jr. Governor Little, in a statement yesterday, celebrated Adams' nomination as the third Idahoan to receive a prominent post in the Trump administration. The governor's statement did not indicate if Adams is still actively leading health and welfare or if an interim director has been named. A request for comment sent yesterday to multiple health and welfare spokespersons has not yet been answered. The governor says he'll sign a $100 million property tax cut bill today. House Bill 304 puts $50 million into a fund for property tax rebates and another $50 million toward paying down existing school bonds and levies, which are funded by property taxes. The bill passed both chambers without a no vote. It's one of several tax cuts passed this year by lawmakers, totaling more than $400 million in revenue reductions to the state. Governor Little, in his State of the State address, called for about a quarter of that amount, telling reporters last month if he thought the state could do a larger number, he would have called for it. Lawmakers want to cut $2 million from each Boise State University and the University of Idaho budgets. As James Dawson reports, it's the latest fallout from a years-long battle over diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Legislators have long criticized Idaho's colleges and universities for supporting multicultural graduations, women's centers, or offices catering to other ethnicities. Those were paid for without taxpayer dollars. Boise State and U of I shuttered their DEI-related offices last year. Republican Representative Elaine Price says it's a start, but more needs to be done.
We have the power of the purse, and if we expect to see a change, then I think this legislature needs to use that.
Republican Senator Cody Galloway, who's previously voted against college and university budgets, says these $4 million in cuts are going too far.
If we continue to punish and be punitive to our universities, we lose our negotiating power.
The proposed budget cuts don't target specific programs. They'll still need to pass the House and Senate before reaching the governor's desk. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Parents across the state may soon need to opt in their children for sex ed lessons at public schools. State senators yesterday passed a bill overriding opt-out policies used by local school districts for decades.
Once a child is exposed to sensitive material, they cannot unsee it.
That's Republican Senator Tammy Nichols, one of the bill's sponsors. She says it's a parent's right to oversee every aspect of their child's education. Parents could sue under the bill if school districts don't enforce it. Senate Assistant Democratic Leader James Ruckty says these decisions should lie within each school district and not the state.
Because it allows these issues to be worked out locally, it forces local stakeholders and members of the community to work together to solve these problems.
Supporters of the bill have tried to pass similar legislation for the past several years. House lawmakers must agree to some technical amendments before Governor Brad Little would weigh in on this year's version of the legislation. Senator Mike Crapo answered questions from callers yesterday during a virtual forum organized by the AARP. Callers expressed concern over the future of Social Security, VA benefits, and public lands, cuts to medical research, the cost of prescription drugs, and the scope of DOGE, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Here's Julie Luquetta with more.
The senator first praised the swift actions of the Trump administration in its first few months in office. Many callers who said they were retired said they were worried about social entitlements. Crapo repeatedly said Trump made it clear he would not approve a budget from the House or Senate that slashed benefits.
He doesn't support, and I don't support, any cuts to benefits in Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security, for that matter.
The senator fielded several questions on the recent mass firing of federal workers. Crapo said there were personnel issues across the government.
I'm not sure I agree that every personnel decision that has been made in the last little while was appropriate.
One caller said firing at the Veterans Affairs Department caused delays in receiving services.
I believe that when so many probationary employees were essentially fired or taken off the employment rolls, that a lot of unintended consequences occurred there.
The senator did not offer specifics on how he would address issues brought up by callers, but said he would look into them. Julie Duqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
Back to the Idaho State House now, where hair was flying everywhere yesterday, but not in the way you might be thinking. As James Dawson reports, several Republicans lined up at a nearby salon to shave their heads in solidarity with a Democrat battling cancer.
Republican Representative John Schertz had just received an award a couple hours earlier by the House pages. The high school staffers dubbed him as having the best head of hair out of all 70 lawmakers. And it was all getting shaved off.
Quickest haircut I've had in a long time.
Okay, well, you're going to have to put, sunscreen on your head now, because you're going to get sunburned.
His salt and pepper locks lay scattered on the floor.
Best hair no more.
Republican Representative Mike Pohanka, who helped organize the buzz cuts, quickly squatted next to Schertz, opened a plastic bag, and grabbed fistfuls of his hair.
Hey, hang on a second. I got to get some of this.
No, God, don't do it, Mike. Don't do it.
I got to give it to her.
All of this is for Democratic Representative Brooke Green, who's been undergoing treatment for breast cancer since last year. She's shaving her own head next week while she goes through another round of chemotherapy.
There she is. I know, it's gone.
Green immediately hugged Schertz and the rest of the Capitol crew who showed up on her behalf. She says the gesture means a lot to her, as Pohanka takes his turn in the chair.
Brooke, this is for you.
I love it.
Wow.
Schertz says he's happy to do it, noting his aunt is also fighting the disease right now.
It's a small thing we can support folks that we love, and just and stand with them in their difficult times.
8 Republicans from districts across the state ended up with a close shave Tuesday. With this week's sunny warm spell in Boise, their domes might just share the same glint of gold as the eagle perched atop the Idaho Capitol. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Boise's Mayor Lauren McLean promised a big goal in her last re-election campaign. She wants all residents to live within a 10-minute walk to a public park. As our George Prentice reports, Boise is inching toward that goal, but it's not cheap.
On Tuesday, McLean said the city is nearly 3/4 of the way there.
We know that 73% of Boiseans are within a 10-minute walk to a park. Be clear, that's a piece of property that we've acquired that will be a park.
The latest acquisition was just yesterday.
Let's take a moment to celebrate a future park off of Fry Street.
That is Sarah Arkle, the city's park resources superintendent, announcing Boise has just closed a deal to purchase undeveloped land on the Boise Bench.
To green up, so to speak, or put turf and irrigate 1 acre is around $100,000. We're looking at around $500,000 to $600,000 for a playground, between $600,000 and $800,000 for a bathroom. So you just start to see how these things can add up pretty quickly.
Councilman Jimmy Halliburton says the need far surpasses the city's available funds, so they need to be creative.
It's a combination. Sometimes it's levy funds, sometimes it's a private landowner, usually some federal funds that really created a lot of incredible projects.
There are 110 park sites in Boise, most of them parks, 13 of them currently undeveloped. George Prentice, Boise State Public Radio News.
The Kroger company has responded in a lawsuit filed by Albertsons over the two companies' failed merger attempt last year. Boise-based Albertsons accused Kroger in December of failing to take the advice of regulators, refusing to cooperate in merger talks, and creating a divestiture plan for some stores that was not enough to appease antitrust regulators. That led to the merger being blocked by the Federal Trade Commission and a federal judge. Albertsons says it wants its money back. Kroger this week, in filings, accused Albertsons of colluding with the buyer for divested stores, C&S Wholesale Grocers, undermining Kroger's strategy. Albertsons violated the merger agreement, Kroger says, by communicating with C&S through private channels. Kroger also accuses Albertsons of planning to sue before the $24.6 billion merger fell apart instead of continuing to pursue a deal. The lawsuit between the two grocery giants is filed in Delaware's Chancery Court. And congratulations this morning to the College of Idaho men's basketball team. The Yotes are NAIA champions for the second time in 3 years. They get a dominant 93-65 win over Oklahoma Wesleyan last night in Kansas City. And just like in its run to the title 2 years ago, C of I this year led every opponent it faced at the NAIA championship tournament by at least 20 points en route to the title. Thanks for listening to The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our digital strategy manager is Lacey Daly. Our general manager is Tom Michael. I'm Troy Oppie, and I hope you'll be back with me again tomorrow. I'll be here with another episode of The Connector bright and early to start your Thursday.